Now let's talk about another scenario really quickly. So let's go out of edit mode, hit Control N, hit the comma key, go into Tool, and go ahead and grab this demo head here. Hit hide, drag that on your canvas, go into edit mode. And now this demo head, if we go down here to geometry, you're going to see the head that we have selected has 3 subdivision levels. Now the eyeball has 2. So you're also going to see, as I'm switching between these, it's like, hey, this mesh is composed of multiple subdivision levels, so I'm not able to use an insert mesh brush on it. That's a feature. So if I want to use an insert mesh brush on an object with subdivision levels, there's a couple things you can do. You can hit delete lower and then use the insert mesh brush, and then you can split it off, and then you can hit reconstruct subdivision levels right here. What I prefer to do is go over here to append polymesh 3D. So I have a star in here. I'll go ahead and turn on transparent. I'm just going to hide this star right in the middle of this object so it's out of sight. So this object I have hidden, turn off transparency, has no subdivision levels. So now if I go to BI brush insert, let's go to industrial parts, hit M, let's grab a Phillips, and now I can just insert this on his head. If I want to, I can also turn on X symmetry and insert it on both sides of his head if I want to, and you're going to see it's going to snap to whatever's visible. So even though the object is buried within inside, as long as I have something visible, it'll go ahead and snap to that object. So I can click and I can drag out. And if you want to drag out the exact same size, like you say you want to put rivets on this guy, one thing you're going to want to do is if you start dragging out, hold down Control, and that'll snap it to your brush size right here. And you're going to see, no matter how far away I am from the face, it'll go ahead and keep it the same. If I zoom in, it'll keep it the same. And if you want to know why that is, let's go ahead and undo all that. You're going to see when we have this brush selected, dynamic is turned on. So if you double tap that dynamic, that'll turn it off. And now the way this brush is going to behave is if you drag out and you hold down Control and you snap it, and as long as you don't move the camera, it's always going to be the same size. However, let's say I want to like move up to the top here and I kind of zoom out a little bit and then I hold down Control, you're going to see all of a sudden this is bigger. And if I zoom way in and I put some more down here, you're going to see my brush size stays the same. Like if I zoom in or out of my object, the brush size stays the same. However, relative to my object, it's either huge or it's tiny. The brush size relative to the ZBrush interface doesn't change, but relative to my object it does, depending on what level I'm zoomed in at. So if you want to have those be consistent regardless of where your camera is, make sure you have dynamic turned on. It should be on by default. And I might as well mention now that I'm thinking about it here, if I go to my standard brush and we say do a drag dot with a circle alpha and we alt tap the head here, you're going to see it's not going to yell at me because it's going to allow me to sculpt on an object with subdivision levels. That's not a big deal. And you can see dynamic is turned on. I'm just taking that focal shift down to -100 and crank that Z intensity up. So now if I just go through and I start adding, let's actually hit Control D a couple times, get some resolution. So if I start dragging on his head here, you're going to see it's all going to be the same size. If I move my camera out, it's still going to be the same size. Move my camera in, still going to be the same size. So the same thing applies to not only insert mesh brushes, but also masking, standard brushes, all that good stuff.